All right, what's up, y'all? Regardless of the wind noise, we're gonna do it how we do, because it is what it is. Blunt, bold, raw, and real in the Image Clothing Company. Today's the 28th of December, 2025. My name is Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. This is Dante, one of our team members. We've had a rough ride getting up here. Seriously, in a lot of ways. Him mostly. He wasn't being obedient. I was upset with him. Regardless of the wind noise, we do it as we do. This video is on our main side, okay? In the Image Clothing Company has 4 sides to it. The main side of In the Image Clothing Company here is where we allow the human body to work. We do it through clothing, meaning anything that clothes the human being, anything physically placed onto the human body is clothing the human body with something. So, on bold, raw, and real in the Image Clothing Company style, it is what it is, okay? We allow the body to work. The human body has a center line, the sternum, the spine, the trachea, the nose, and our jaw. The jaw, stabilizing the entire body, is in the center. We talk about eating, sleeping, standing, walking, sitting, breathing, hydration, everything we do as a human being, but really, we focus on clothing, okay? Clothing has to stay centered, fit correct, where we discuss clothing sits for everyone on this universal human design we have, okay? Every body has one, or everyone has a body. There truly is only one way the human body could ever work, just being a mechanical machine placed onto the rock in space that is our Earth. Dante is a member of In the Image Clothing Company's team. He's my personal dog. In the Image Clothing Company Poodles is 1/4 of In the Image Clothing Company. We do the same thing for dogs that we do for human beings. Our information applies to all dogs on letting dogs stay natural, okay? In all the same ways. Collars, leashes, harnesses, and things placed onto the dogs, clothing the dogs with something, is the same thing as human being clothing. Keeping collars centered is a huge focus that we have for us as human beings and for our dogs as well, okay? Right now Dante's on a homemade slip lead, which is great, okay? Nice and centered. And he looks like a pretty little lamb out here. I was kind of, smacking him around a bit. He wasn't listening, man, and he needs to be safe by the highway here, okay? So he wasn't having all that good of a time getting out of the car there because he wasn't listening, but once we got up here, he loves it. And now he's just blissfully sitting there in the nice breeze. It's a nice breeze, but it's like 30-something degrees Fahrenheit. It's pretty cold, okay? So the breeze isn't all that nice, actually, temperature-wise, okay? But it sure makes him look even more pretty. He just always looks pretty. Majestic, beautiful poodle, okay? So, on In the Image Clothing Company's main side here, we give a lot of free modifications in clothing. We just talk about clothing, the body, and how to. It's about the angles and locations and positions of things placed onto us and how they sit. The human body is just mechanics. That's a video under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company here. It's the truth. The human body is just mechanics. There's rotations, hinges, levers, and operations in all the ways that there are, just being a physical operable thing that we have, okay, our vessel to go across this earth within as spirit children, sons and daughters of God. In the Image Clothing Company, okay, the first 3 of our 5-word name were designed in the image of God. There is this universal human design, although we recognize it, right? Amputation, deformity, birth defect, major surgery, anything that sets your body apart quite a bit or a little bit. Cool. We have to get as close as we can to this universal human design, this structural system of the skeletal frame of the body, because all the musculature does is move the skeletal frame of the body, and the body is just about its positioning. A lot of what we do is just deal with Earth's gravity as human beings, okay? Gravity has a center line. The human body has a center line. Your center of gravity has to remain, okay? Yeah. Your center of gravity is a video under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company here. Keeping our bodies over Earth's gravity is a video under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company here. Staying in your center line is a video under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company here. We just talk about the physicality of the human being. It's only about clothing to get to the functionality of the human body, okay? Nothing to do with fashion, but We live in a modern man-made world placed onto God's natural earth. There's a lot of things that just didn't have to be dealt with in the past, that couldn't have possibly had to be dealt with in the past because they didn't exist. Unnatural, artificial, synthetic, synonyms with fake. Things in our food, things in our clothing. The human body is only natural. We're only what we eat. If we eat anything unnatural, the body just has only damage coming. The body has to process through it whatever we put into it. If it's unnatural, our bodies can't extract any nutrients to benefit, but they still have to go through the processing of processing it through the body, and it damages the body. Synthetic, artificial, unnatural things in clothing, materials that didn't even exist just decades ago as of today's date, the 28th of December, 2025. New things, generations before us, and then going forth, it's only going to get more unnatural. They didn't have to deal with these things before they were invented, okay? Yeah, stretch in clothing goes the opposite direction of the only way muscles could ever work. The human body only pulls. Is a video here under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company. Even in what seems like a push, we have opposing muscles. And so the muscles on the backside of a hinge pull to extend a hinge joint and cause part of our body to go farther from us, even though we're pulling. Endpoints of muscles where they connect to bones through tendons together. Okay. I love him so much. Dante, my dog. There's only one way the human body could ever work. It's about mechanics. It's about Earth's gravity. It's about the contraction or pull of muscles evenly opposing the center line of the body where they connect into the bones that are in the center line of the body. Okay? It's okay. He's so pretty. It's ridiculous. He matches this grass out here pretty darn well. Like a cute little lamb. There's only one way the human body could ever work, okay? Clothing has to be made in all the ways we can from 100% natural materials. If clothing has stretch in it, which just didn't even exist in itself, stretch in clothing decades ago, tens of years back from today's date, it didn't exist. Not at all. I mean, it couldn't have, really. Not really. It just didn't exist. The muscles have to contract. The human body has to work. We have to oppose Earth's gravity because it's always pulling down on us. If we have stretch in our clothing, our bodies are trying to work and the clothing is going the opposite way. The body's trying to work, the clothing goes the opposite way. The muscles connect from the outside of the body into the center. The pectorals on the front of the upper body here on the chest connect from the shoulder into the sternum and pull in the front, evenly opposing both sides. In the rear of the body, the muscles connect from the outside of the shoulder into the center and the spine, evenly opposing both sides, contracting, pulling, doing the only thing the human body can to work. We're pulling ourselves up off of the earth. We're not pushing off of the earth. We're pulling. The muscles of the rear of our lower legs, those calf muscles, they pull. These shoulders get pulled up from the upper trapezius muscles, connecting to the base of the rear of the skull along the cervical spine and then top of the rear of the shoulder. We're pulling ourselves up off the earth. Our feet are just the anchor point. The human body can't push. The human body only pulls. Muscles only pull, but we've just got opposing bends to things. The ankles bend backward, the knees bend forward, the hips bend backward, the lower back, the lumbar spine bends forward, the mid back, the thoracic spine bends backward, and then the upper back, which is really the neck, the cervical spine bends forward. We have this snaking in activation, front to back, front to back, front to back, front to back, opposing each side at each hinge in the body from the feet up, and the muscles pull to keep us vertical. Arches in our feet grip inward, opposing the center line of the human body, okay, and keep us vertical. The human body only pulls. The human body has to pull. Stretch in clothing goes the opposite direction. This video's title, if I haven't said it yet, The Epidermis is the title of this video under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company on the 28th of December 2025. The epidermis is the skin. It's just the technical term for the skin of the body. the epidermis. Okay, it's actually an organ. There you go. The skin of the body has little holes in it called pores. These holes are what allow perspiration or sweat to come out of the body. And these holes also allow things to come into the body. I've said it like this many times under In the Image Clothing Company content before today's date. We put things on the surface of our skin we call a topical cream. On top of the skin, it's a topical cream to soak into the holes in the skin called our pores and heal the body is the intent, often, right? From the inside out, from what we've placed on the outside of the body. Anything we clothe the body with can seep into the holes in the skin just as any kind of cream we rub onto the skin can. Synthetic, artificial, unnatural, synonyms with fake materials in clothing, they're poison. The human body is only natural. The goal is natural on all four sides of In the Image Clothing Company. There's only one way the human body could ever work, and it's natural. No opinion to have. There's only natural. The word unnatural doesn't really exist until human beings get involved. The earth's always just the earth. We create things as human beings. We don't really create anything. Matter cannot be created or destroyed. God is since always. There's only one way the human body could ever work, designed in the image of God. He had to first look like us to design us in his image. The human body's been the same since God. God has always existed, the same yesterday, today, and forever. A lot of things are different in modern day. Unnatural, synthetic, artificial, fake. 100% natural materials. We have to have our clothing be made out of in all the ways we can. 100% natural materials. Times and places, sure. Okay? There's times and places for things that otherwise should never be done when, maybe just lack of resources. Maybe certain situations that differ from others that are just kind of like, well, we would just about never do this, but in this case, it's kind of all we can do. Through being intentional, we're still going to try to do this like this, and it's not quite proper, but, in any aspect of life, there's times and places for things that otherwise should never be done. Like me hitting Dante to teach him how to be obedient, a little bit of disciplinary action. I don't want to hit Dante, but I need him to listen. You see what I mean? Times and places. Hey, dude, what do you sniff there, huh? What we've got is the skin of the body having elasticity, okay? The skin of the body, picture like the back of the wrist. For the wrist to flex, the skin on the back of it has to stretch. Careful with that word stretch. The skin's not stretching. The skin has a certain level of give to it, and then it can come back to its regular position, and then it can go the opposite way. There's opposition in all things. The human body's one of those things that is all things. God is all things. There's opposition in all things. On In the Image Clothing Company podcast, one of our forwards, we have discussions on the gospel of Jesus Christ, aka the truth of all things, also known as the good news of God. There's just truth to life. You don't have to be religious or believe in anything, but you can't have an opinion or believe in anything unless there's something first there to have an opinion on or to try to believe in or decide not to. And you can't even decide to do anything if you're not first there to have decisions. There's only truth to life. No human being can decide. God did, though, and he designed everything, including the human beings in his image. There's only one way the human body could ever work. In the Image Clothing Company podcast, we are on episode 197 as of last night. Okay. Just deep insights on life. Check it out if you'd like to. That's where we stay rooted on In the Image Clothing Company, on all four sides of us. It, comes back to In the Image Clothing Company podcast. We do everything geared around the gospel of Jesus Christ, but that's specifically where we have discussions on the gospel of Jesus Christ in the Image Clothing Company podcast. How many times have I said that? Like 4? In the Image Clothing Company podcast. Check it out. Okay. There's neutrals to the body. In the forearms, from the fingertips up to the elbow, there's a neutral. From there, we can go internal with the rotation, come back to neutral, and we can go external with the rotation. Keep in mind, I'm standing on the side of a mountain. Okay. There's just neutrals to the body in every sense of all of its functioning. The arms, straight out forward. there's neutrals, then we have internal rotation, and from the neutral, there's external rotation. In the lower leg, from the foot up to the knee, there's internal rotation, like in the forearm, back to the neutral, and there's external rotation, back to the neutral. In the entire leg, from the foot to the hip, there's internal rotation, back to the neutral, external rotation, and we come back and reside in our neutrals. There's only one way the human body could ever work. Nobody could ever try to tell you how to train your body to get it to do anything. It's physically, mechanically, actually, legitimately, in all seriousness, impossible. It's impossible to train to a neutral, like a neutral with the arms hanging down at our sides on Earth's gravitational pull. There's only a neutral. There's only one way the human body could ever work. There's a neutral to the rotations of the pelvis, posteriorly tucking underneath us from the neutral, anteriorly rotating away from us from the neutral. There's a neutral to the feet, lifting the toes, dorsiflexion, versus planting the toes, pointar flexion. Well, pointing the toes, plantar flexion. The neutral is the surface of the earth. There's only a neutral. There's only one way the human body could ever work. But if we're clothing the body with things that don't allow it to work, like shoes with heels on them, just altering the position of the entire body to the tip of the head or the tip of the fingers. Shoulder seams, when our shoulders follow shoulder seams, if they're sitting in an incorrect location, that's not the only way the shoulders mechanically just operate, with just three bones coming together to meet at the shoulder joint. We're just pivoting on this clavicle or collarbone, and it's just following where the shoulder seam placed on top of us being affected by Earth's gravity is. Pant waistline sitting in an angle that's different than just the only way the hips could be horizontal on Earth's surface, stemming from the feet up. The pelvis has a neutral. The hips, the feet have a neutral. Okay, the flexion of the ankle. The shoulders have a neutral in all senses of what that means. Rotations in the body have a neutral. There's only one way the human body could ever work. No opinion, no possible claim, no new information. The same since God. And God is. And always has been. And always will be. The same yesterday, today, and forever. There's elasticity in the skin, meaning it has motion to it. And in order to be able to have rotations, in order to be able to have a flexion to a joint on either side, the skin encapsulating the entire body, the epidermis is what it's called, encapsulating the entire body, has to be able to have motion to it. That's what we call elasticity. Okay. It moves. Picture the elbow. When the arm's locked out straight, there's a little bit of play in the elbow skin. A little bit of loose skin there on the elbow. So that we can have that elbow bend all the way closed. And the same skin that's encapsulating the elbow when the elbow is straight and there's not tension being pulled on the outside of it where it's hinging, well, that skin can still be there when the elbow's bent all the way, and now there's more tension on the skin, stretching to a degree, not stretching, but having elasticity, having motion to move around and accommodate for the hinging of the elbow as we really bend the elbow joint all the way closed. And then we extend the elbow all the way again, and the skin goes back to its relaxed state. We bend the elbow all the way, and the skin gets nice and tight to a degree, but naturally around the elbow. There's that elasticity, or there's that motion to the skin. Like the back of the wrist, if you bend your wrist from its neutral, and let's say we have the elbows at the natural waist, okay, keeping elbows at the natural waist, a video under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company here. We take our hands with our elbows at our natural waist, and we rotate our forearms from our fingertips to our elbows internally, so we point our thumbs inward and our palms face down. Now if we bend our wrist down, the back of the wrist has the skin on it elongating or stretching into its normal amount of stretch, if you will, okay, of elasticity. Now if we put the hand back up to neutral, palms facing down again, and we lift the palm up, Now there's some play in the skin of the back of the wrist and some looseness to a degree because of that elasticity, meaning the motion that's there in the wrist to accommodate for the motion in the bones of the wrist inside of what's encapsulating it, which is the epidermis, or the skin of the body. So this is happening everywhere. It's happening on the knee. Picture bending your knee just like we're bending the elbow. And the skin has to be able to wrap around the knee as it bends from having a straight leg, just about locked out, but just slightly bent into a range of the motion the knee has to keep those muscles activated, okay? Since we have opposing muscles, there's just activation on both sides to stabilize in the center, okay? Opposition in all things, there's opposing muscles to the body, or we couldn't have motion. You would just move to one side and you'd be done. There's two sides to every function in the body. That's why it's impossible to train it to do anything. You can't train to a neutral. It's physically impossible. Why you can't stretch the human body, why you can't stretch your body is actually what is titled, as far as I'm aware, a video Dante and I made here under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company, because there's just a neutral. You can't stretch to a neutral. That's impossible to do. There's elasticity. There's motion. There's the ability for the body to move within the skin that's encapsulating it. If we have our bodies having their normal ranges of motion, like the shoulders, neutral, directly correlating with the elbows because they're just connected with this upper arm bone that doesn't move from the elbow to the shoulder. The shoulder has a neutral height from up to down. The shoulder has a neutral front to back position. And this is pivoting on this collarbone, coming from the center of the body at the sternum, the bone between the ribs and the front, where the ribs come in and connect, where the zipper here is on my leather jacket. And then coming from the center of the top of the sternum bone, that collarbone comes up and out and becomes the peak of the shoulder. That's where our shoulder seams sit evenly behind. Because our shoulders follow shoulder seams, the seams are just placed right on top of where that collarbone is, the very peak of the shoulder. And with gravity just pulling down on us, there's only one neutral location for our shoulders to reside in. There's only one way the human body could ever work. It's just a mechanical machine, and it's dealing with gravity. So the top seams of our shoulders, clothing seams, need to sit evenly behind the peak of that collarbone because that's determining the shoulder's positioning, okay, with gravity. And the shoulders only ever work behind the head. The scapulas, or the shoulder blades, the big bones on the upper back, they always only reside behind the rib cage. And then from there up to the spine of the neck and the very rear of the body, and then the base of the rear of the skull is where the muscle, the upper trapezius, connects that raises the shoulder. The shoulders only ever mechanically function or work behind the head. That's all they could ever do, okay? Muscles just pull the end points where they're connected to bones together. Muscles only pull. Stretch in clothing goes the opposite direction of muscles working. If we have stretch in our tops, we reach forward in life, there's not this neutral position for our shoulders to reside in, okay? We discuss tops are like a cage for the shoulders. A video under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company here, but also just a way to see it and understand the truth. Tops need to lock our shoulders in place because there's even contraction of musculature that has to be had on two sides of the body when the musculature is connecting into the center line of the body on Earth's center of gravity. We have to stand vertical, we have to sit vertical, we have to breathe. Breath is the essence of human life. It takes the entire body to some degree, the jaw especially, to stabilize in every breath we ever take. How's Dante doing? You doing good? Good boy? Stretching our clothing won't allow our shoulders to just stay in their neutral position, because as we reach, our bodies just don't know how to predict what's happening with stretch. You just move your arm inside your clothing that doesn't have any motion to it, and it's just sitting on your body, encapsulating you, with the edge seams as close as we can get to the very edges of the shoulders, where those three bones, the humerus or upper arm bone, the collarbone or clavicle, and the scapula or shoulder blade meet at the shoulder joint. That's right as close as we can get. That's the focus. For the edge seams of tops, this leather jacket doesn't have edge seams, okay? But the three shirts that I have on underneath it do. They need to be as close as we can get right to the functionality of the joint. And if we have stretch, then this position of where our shoulders are working, where physical immovable bones are connecting, it's just going to be altered. You reach, and your clothing continues to move and stretch. And now, so does the skin on your back. The shoulders only ever work behind the head. Mechanically, that's just where they connect, okay? There's only one way the human body could ever work. We have opposing forces. Front, back, in, out, left, right. In the legs, adduction, pulling the leg in, versus abduction, pulling the leg out through musculature, only contracting. The arches opposing the center line, gripping inward. The arm reaching forward or reaching backward. We have to have a normal amount of elasticity in all the skin of the body, encapsulating all the body in a way where it can just do what it would always do if it had never been altered and reside in its neutrals. And its only working position, because we have to just stay off of the Earth's surface with gravity pulling on us without just flopping down onto the Earth. And muscles only contract. And so in order to stabilize, it has to be in the neutral. There's only one way the human body could ever work. No new information, nothing we could take credit for under In the Image Clothing Company, just the truth. It would always be this way if we hadn't ever altered our bodies. Look at children, look at toddlers and little kids. Their bodies work. We get into chronic patterning, and scar tissue builds up in the body. Bone spurs build up in the body. We live in a right-handed world. Okay, where 85%, give or take, of the population of the Earth are right-handed when it comes to human beings. Products are designed to be used with the right hand. If they're designed to be used with one hand over the other, or the majority of the use being one hand. Clothing patterns themselves, to a degree, are right-handed. We've got rotated seams in clothing. In the Image Clothing Company's rotated seam modification, one of our free modifications we give many of in clothing to allow the body to work. In the Image Clothing Company's dreaded collar seam modification, one of our free modifications we give, there are many that we have under In the Image Clothing Company to allow the human body to work. There's only one way it ever could. We clothe it with things. If we have stretch in our clothing, that'll stretch our clothing excessively, more than its natural positioning. Fibers of clothing just are woven together. It's just little strands of fibers that they weave together in a tight little patterning. And if they're stretched to that fibrous material, it pulls apart. In the human body, the muscles have fibers to them. Muscle fibers fire. It's an electrical system. The brain of the human body, it sends electrical signals out to the musculature, and they fire. They pull together. They activate. The only other end is relaxing, just flopping onto the surface of the Earth. With Earth's gravity, we're opposing gravity if our bodies are even breathing, if nothing else. Okay, we have to have our muscles contract. Stretch goes the exact opposite direction of the only way the human body could ever possibly physically operate. It's just a mechanical machine. That's what it does. It's a machine of motion. It physically operates. There's only one way the human body could ever work. Clothing truly is the only fix to human beings' physical problems, at least the problems physically that we discuss as in the Image Clothing Company. There's only one way. There's only one way the human body could ever work. The skin of the body. We can't be poisoning it. We can't be having things be placed on it that are not even real. It's literally worded as not real or fake. It says it in the tags of our clothing, which didn't exist just decades ago from today's date. One of the two prerequisites under In the Image Clothing Company to not alter the body of the human being and its physical operation across the physical earth that we've been given by God. In addition to where clothing sits, we have these two prerequisites. Okay, removing all tags from clothing is one of them because there's only one natural position to the neutral or normal of the body. Neutral, natural, and normal are synonyms within the human body and its only functioning, okay? There's only one way the human body could ever work. So you place a tag somewhere inside of clothing and it's just causing an unnatural gap. Just a physical gap, changing the body's only working position, but also, and or, if you will, not allowing musculature to activate. And musculature has to activate. That's the only thing it does, or it's not doing anything. And the human body can only ever work activated as a whole. You just can't drag around dead weight. Everything in the body has its own individual role to play. No compensation can be had for something not playing its role by something else that has an entirely different function and reason for being there. Yeah, you've got an amputation, sure. But we just do what we can to deal with things like gravity's pull with prosthetic limbs. You know, your body's deformed, sure. We just do all that we can to allow you to continue to breathe and speak and walk if, right? This is what I mean. Getting as close as we can to the universal human design because that's the only way it works. We have our individualistic situations, but you know that, if you know that. There's only one way the human body could ever work. The skin has to be evenly elastic on the front, as it is on the rear, okay? The skin has to be evenly elastic on one side of the wrist, as it is on the other side of the wrist. The skin has to be evenly elastic on both sides of anything that's there. You know, the jaw is something we put such a big focus on under In the Image Clothing Company. The face and the head, you know, the human head. A lot of patterning and what, you know, gets called posture problems in the body is actually coming from the skull of the human being. And really, it's the skin encapsulating the skull of the human being. Glasses, jewelry, anything that clothes the human body is clothing the human body, okay? Like how God clothes the fields with grass. Dante gets clothed with a collar around his neck, ideally as minimal as possible, okay? Letting dogs stay natural. In the Image Clothing Company poodles. There's a lot that we do there. And there's only a little amount of time until that sun drops behind the mountain there to shade me, okay? There's only one way the human body could ever work. The skin is encapsulating the human skull. We have to look left. As we look left, the skin on the right side of our head has to stretch. Its natural amount of elasticity has to be there. As we look right, the skin on the left side of our head has to stretch. Its natural amount of elasticity has to be there. As we look down, the skin on the back of our head and the top of our head, traveling down the back of it, has to stretch with its natural amount of elasticity. And as we look up, the skin on the front of our face and down around our chin and under our jawbone, the lower jawbone, the mandible, stabilizing the entire body. The jaw is the shoulder. Directly, keeping collars centered, the importance of snug collars, the importance of whatever we put importance on. We've got right around 1,000 videos as of today's date on all four sides of In the Image Clothing Company combined, giving universal truth that we didn't decide and we couldn't take credit for, applying to all human beings, and if you have one, your dogs as well. Okay, information that will never change, the same since God, always. We have to have the normal elasticity of our skin, of our jaw, to look up. Okay, we have to have the normal amount of elasticity of our eyebrows and around our nose to just move our head around. And then move our eyes within our eyeball socket. Move our eyebrows as we're just raising and lowering our eyes. Brow. Each side of the eye would have a brow. Or each eye on each side of the face would have a brow. The eyebrows are huge. The importance of even eyebrows, the importance of even nostrils, the importance of the corners of the mouth, the importance of even ears. The ears are the jaw, as the jaw is the shoulder, as the hand is the shoulder, as the foot is the hip. There's certain things in the body that are directly connected or indirectly connected. Everything is the latter. Okay, Latter-day Saints, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Everything in the body is indirectly connected. It's all there. Anywhere any of you goes, all of you goes. But there's certain things that are directly other things, more than other things are directly other things. How oversized clothing makes life hard? Well, really, it's just titled Oversized Clothing Makes Life Hard. A video under the main site of In the Image Clothing Company here. The same skin on all of the body is the same skin on all of the body. Not only just opposing sides to one function do we have to have even elasticity to, but the skin on the top of the head is the same skin on the shoulders that we're potentially wearing oversized tops on. Okay. Pulling the jaw open, pulling from the top of the head down on all the skin in between. There's only one way the human body could ever work. The skin, though, is connected to the musculature through fascia. Okay? The skin is connected to the muscles, and then the muscles connect to the bones, but the bones connect to the bones through ligaments. The human body is all connected. It's all there. It's all encapsulated, though, in the epidermis. That's the outermost part of it all. The epidermis, okay? Not putting unnatural things on the skin. That's a big thing. We shouldn't be sweating as much as often people are. That's a big thing. We discuss it. We will. I'm in this for life. Evan Strong, the founder, but really the leader of this for life of In the Image Clothing Company. Dante as well for his entire life. He's a member of In the Image Clothing Company's team. Okay, we do a lot. That's all I'm going to say. I don't even care. It's been a big day. It's been rough. I've been getting all these videos out as I have been. We're moving down to St. George, Utah, Dante and I, when we can, as soon as that happens. It's God's timing, not ours. Today, though, is the 28th of December, 2025. And St. George, Utah is a desert. Beautiful sandstone, red rock, true desert down there. It's cold winter in Utah County here, okay? About 3.5 hours of a drive in a vehicle north from St. George, Utah. We live up Utah. We do a lot under the gift of video, under In the Image Clothing Company. For the sake of the nature, for the sake of church history within the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, Dante and I will be at poodle parade events under In the Image Clothing Company poodles. Bring your poodles, purebred of any size or mixed poodles of any size, and we'll get people into nature and dogs into nature. And do a lot of beautiful things for the environment of our planet as well. Subcategory poodle parade events like clean the creek or rid the rubbish. We do what we do. Stick around. A lot more context that I could in this, and we will, as time progresses, give on the epidermis, the skin of the body. We discuss the anatomy of the human body in depth. We will always have good clothing, human being clothing, and dog products. Collars, leashes, harnesses, at least, similar things, and whatever we branch out into product-wise under In the Image Clothing Company to allow things to be what they are, allowing God's design of the human body to work and letting God's design of the dogs stay natural. Doesn't he look so natural in all seriousness? Dante? As he just lays there on the side of the mountain with his 100% cotton hand-braided slip lead that I made for him last night. Seriously, right? I mean it. Yeah, he's awesome. Hi, bud. I love Dante. I punish him because I love him. He knows how much I love him. He loves me just as much. All right, here we are, Utah, okay, the state of Utah. One other fourth of In The Image Clothing Company is In The Image Clothing Company music. We do a lot with the sizing and setup of guitars. We show how to not alter things like that neutral wrist, the natural rounding in our hands that correlates with the arches in our feet. We discuss where clothing sits. I talked about some of it in here, but I will stop this relatively quick for the sake of the lighting, okay? Lyricism, rhythm and poetry, spoken word, music, singing, guitar playing, geared around the gospel of Jesus Christ on In The Image Clothing Company music. Check it out. Off tempo and off the beat. We're often doing things we need, Dante and I, and he was crossing the street, so he thought, and that's what he wanted to think. He was gonna die, maybe, you know, getting out of the car. I got after him big time. He's only been with me 2 weeks as of tomorrow, so, you know, we've got to kind of lay some really strict ground rules for the next 12 years. You know, Dante is going to live a good life. I adopted him from the South Utah Valley Animal Shelter, okay? And he's coming up on 2 years old, give or take, so we've got a good long life with him, and he just needs to know his place with me as the owner, you know? And so these first few days, few weeks here, whatever it needs to be, you know, we've got to learn how to work with each other so that we can work with each other, because he's literally my business partner in all truth. As the founder of In The Image Clothing Company, he'll be coming everywhere with me, and he's got to be able to do that well for his safety, you know. So laying some good ground rules with Dante. Laying a foundation was episode 100 of In The Image Clothing Company podcast. I am in this for life. I'm in this for life is an episode title of In The Image Clothing Company podcast as well. Truly, yes, it is. Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, let's yell about it. The epidermis. We'll put a lot of focus on it. We'll talk about it because we need that even elasticity. Stretching of the clothing causes chronic stretching of the skin. We talk about chronic patterning and scar tissue getting built up in the body. Not only scar tissue along bones, but chronic stretching of skin is part of this chronic patterning. If we've got things like our shoulders only ever on one end of their neutral from their other end, when I say only ever, I mean just most always, for many years of our lives, decades, potentially an entire lifetime, give or take just about, the body will be so damaged, chronically imbalanced, chronically meaning just life lasting until fixed or until addressed. And we give the true fixes here under In The Image Clothing Company on how to allow your body to work. We give a lot of free information. You don't have to pay us to know what we do. We're here to change your lives, and we do it. Mine, personally, you can watch Evan Strong, me, the founder of In The Image Clothing Company, and my body's visual and physical transformation under the gift of video since any time to any other time, under what we do with In The Image Clothing Company, through the truth of what we do through In The Image Clothing Company. Okay, we discuss where clothing sits. Check it out. We give thorough explanations. In The Image Clothing Company shoelace technique, the only way the top of the feet are shaped half their function, dorsiflexion from plantar flexion with the neutral in between. Okay, that's just the top of the feet. Well, we're shaping a weave of a rope in and calling it a shoelace. Pants sit above the hips entirely, slightly, you know, higher in the front than the rear at that natural waist where our elbows sit, and that's how we don't alter our bodies from there. There you go. I've discussed where clothing sits and our 2 prerequisites in this video, so I'll see you later, son. And not all that much later, because once we just walk down out of this little ravine area in this canyon, we'll, you know, be in the light again. But it's just dropping right behind the mountainside here. But this is a good introduction on the epidermis and how it's an organ. It's the skin. It's the same on the fingertips as the tip of the head or the tips of the toes. And there's only one way the human body could ever work. Okay? Encapsulated within the skin, it's a huge thing to put importance on, not poisoning it through unnatural things and not excessively stretching it on one end versus the other of a function of anything in the body, because there is a neutral. Okay, that's what we'll say for now. There's a lot to say. Thank you, and goodbye.